including we will doing a pseudo elimination as we actually have to make sure we work out our entire top 8 due to how the qualifications will work. This is going to be best of 3. All right. So up on the table we have. Let me just adjust the names. We have Laurier. And Rob. So guys, just as a reminder for those teams, I will grab their sheets and tell you what those teams are. So Rob is running Magic Missile, Create Food from Water, Chewinga Lesser, Yuanti Lesser, Xavier School, Mr. Miracle, Shriek, Agent Venom, Bishop Butterfly Effect, and Hulk Power of Attorney. Then Laurier is running Mutation, Create Food from Water. They're going to be creating a lot of food from water, apparently. Bifrost, Dum Dum Dugan, Spider-Man, Storm, Jubilee, Prof, Shriek, and Blob. Let's see what happens, guys. Oh, there's some early damage with a sidekick swing. Alright, so Laurier just used a whole slew of globals. That's a blob on a cake. Alright, so in case anyone's curious, that is a Mr. Miracle sitting in the field zone for Rob. So he's boomeranging his action and did not succeed. It's one of those things where I really do enjoy the concept of Mr. Miracle, but he's ended up kind of being hit or miss, I find. Yeah, so Laurier just rolled an almost perfect roll for if he had Jubilee, but sadly, she's still, hasn't been purchased yet. And there we go, he buys the Jubilee, so if that comes up again later, he's okay. Yeah, so both players are kind of questioning why their dice aren't cooperating the way they want, but I mean, that is the nature of a dice game. And there's a Venom. Activating Cake. And stops there. And then Boomerang. And he hit it, so it's in prep. Looks like he hit both Bifrost and Blob. There's a Bifrost Global. Buying Dugan. Bifrost. Getting his Dugan. Okay. By the way, Blob named Shriek. And that is, by the way, a 6-2 Dugan. Oh, Miracle's back. It's a miracle! And he's back. Sorry, bad jokes. He's activating his Cake again. It's going pretty well so far. Oh, that is not a sidekick. Going for a big buy. There's the Hulk. And Boomerang the Cake. Gets it. Nice. And there's a Jubilee ping into a sidekick. Given how big Laurier's field is, maybe he'll be swinging. So there's a swing of 2 Dugans. And that was 6 damage off of the Dugan. All right, so Rob is figuring out what all he can get on board. And there's a reroll. Those, I believe, are almost all free. So it's only costing him 1 to field all that. Alright. There's a boomerang trigger. Oh. Rob's getting a little ahead of himself on the fact that the Chewinga has to attack. Just remember, and Laurier is being a very good opponent and reminding him that he should deal with purchases before stepping into that. That's another Magnus Global. There's a mandatory attack on the Chewinga. He's also doing a call-out attack. Yeah, they're just discussing the mechanics of call-out. No, so the blob was called out. However, that only means that this venom is now unblockable unless the blob blocks him. Alright, so that is everything getting through, which is a fair bit of damage because he's also using the pump off of the Hulk. And then a random magic missile into a sidekick. Alright, we hit 2 characters. He's probably going to reroll the Dum Dum to see if he can get more. Or he's going to get ahead and forget to reroll the Dum Dum. Okay, he's just looking to push for damage. See if he can get them bolts. That's lots of bolts. So Laurier is now going to do some math to see if he can get enough damage through. And Laurier just worked out he is 1 damage shy. Laurier, however, will still likely use that Magic Missile Global Rob brought him to reduce the amount of field presence Rob has. Oh, but there was Laurier buying a Spider-Man, which normally he would want to Bifrost, but in this case the energy is just there. Alright, so Laurier is going to sit on 4 bolts and pass over Rob. So it probably means Laurier will be using Magic Missile a whole bunch at the end of Rob's turn. Well, Rob missed most of his characters, but Shriek on double bolt while being called with blob isn't, or single bolt is at least usable. Well, the Hulk showed up. Shriek showed up, but unfortunately he's blobbed, so can't do anything. Expect Rob will use the mask to field the Hulk, and then bolt a bunch of stuff. Or I'm hoping Rob realizes that he's now spent 2 energy, one of which was for no reason, since he could not field the Shriek. However, since this is not an active judge situation, I am going to sit here and continue to commentate. Laurier is trying to decide if he will use those bolts to remove the sidekicks that Rob has, which will also then trigger the Hulk. He decides to go ahead. Now Hulk is on max face. And Rob sits on the 2 bolts. Laurier has, unfortunately, I believe, rolled energy, so he's rerolling everything. He's got a Bifrost and a Spider-Man. Okay, so Bifrost is up. He's feeling Spider-Man, getting him the Dum-Dum. Oh, apparently wants the Jubilee more than Dum-Dum. Oh. Generating a sidekick to do a point of damage, as well as get his Dum-Dum. Nice. And now I expect a swing. However, it is currently on Rob's priority to see if he uses those bolts. And he's currently passing back. And I believe that is game, because the Dum-Dums are all +5 each. Alright, so that's game 1 down. Alright, and now we're on to game 2. Alright, so Laurier's gotten a few more sidekicks than he expected to get this early game. Especially with there only being, I believe, 1 fixer on the table. Just the Bifrost, yep. Well, on reroll, he's a little more happy. Alright, He's using Magnus just to clear out his used a bit, and Cake to see if he can cycle his dice around. Laurier is getting excited. Bifrost Global is triggered. Buying a blob, using Bifrost plus Magnus to field the blob, and blobbing Shriek. Alright, so Laurier is just questioning why he got his Bifrost as he did, because he would have liked it a little bit later. So he has a few more options, especially as that Jubilee missed. And there he's starting into his Dugans. And Bifrost does nothing. Here comes a Miracle. And there's a buy of a few things. Xavier's School worked fairly well for him earlier. Alright, so it looks like Laurier's bought a Spider-Man again, which he does tend to prefer to bring in with the Bifrost, but is what it is. again, he got his Bifrost at the wrong point, so he's questioning why it's there. Bifrost is now energy. Sadly, so is Jubilee. And he caked, managing to get a sidekick, so he'll field it with Magnus. Grabbing a random Dum-Dum. There's our Ancient Venom. Bit of a cake global. Laurier is just adjusting some sequencing. He's explaining what happens when you have a character you don't feel like fielding. That was a boomerang trigger. Oh, Laurier's begging Spidey to roll on face. I'm guessing it did, although that die is really hard to read. And probably make a sidekick. Yep. Laurier's looking to attack. Nice. With a Dum-Dum, two Spidey, and two sidekicks. So that means two things must block the sidekicks first. And Rob's got 3 items, 3 characters. Spider-Man's going through for 5 damage. And back off the board. Noting those sidekicks didn't get KO'd because of the secondary effect off Spider-Man. Oh, and there's a dice tower being used. For reference, anyone who's not familiar with that Spider-Man, just going to give you the full text. While it's Spider-Man, War of the Heart, while Spider-Man is attacking, your opponent must declare at least 1 blocker for each of your attacking sidekick character dice before assigning blockers to your non-sidekick character dice. When Spider-Man attacks, prevent all damage to your sidekick character dice until end of turn. So we're looking at Laurier. He's got a fairly large field. Looks like we've just had a magic missile from Rob, or several, to try and clean up a bit of Laurier's field. Alright, so Laurier's got 2 Dum-Dums, and I'm assuming a Spider-Man up on face in his reserve. There goes up a sidekick as well. There's another Duganbai. He hasn't bought all of them yet, but he'll probably get there. Alright, so just if you guys are wondering, Rob has switched to using a dice tower that is just off camera due to the number of dice he's been rolling. Alright, so Rob's setting back up a field so that he can try and get enough defense against Laurier's Dum-Dum and Spider-Man combos. I think Rob might be considering a Hulk. There's Xavier's School being used. So what Xavier's School does is, because he has no X dice, it causes him to empty his bag, prep 1 die, and then put the rest into used pile. He's boomeranging the Xavier School. I actually really like this tech with the Xavier School. It's something I hadn't considered up until seeing him use it. And that's a cake, I believe. And now the cake action. Missed the boomerang. Rob's trying to decide what to use magic missiles on, or if he should. I mean, at this point, I'd actually probably hold and wait till Laurier's turn. And during main step of Laurier's turn, just nuke all those sidekicks. But he's doing it on his own turn, so there goes a Dum-Dum and 3 sidekicks. Laurier throws back up a sidekick out of Magnus. All right, so Laurier is about to have a lot of characters potentially. Oh, yeah, he did. He hit 3 characters out of 4. All right, now Laurier is trying to work out if he has enough damage to just push for win. All right, just 3 dum-dums, no sidebar coming in. And Rob's down to 9. All right, let's see what Rob can do here. He is at a definite life disadvantage, and Laurier is reasonably well set up because those dum-dums will likely come back. Rob did hit his Xavier School if there's any Dyson bags that he can do a little manip there. He's got, I believe that's a couple of Ancient Venoms. He did miss on Mr. Miracle. Reroll, still misses the Miracle. Hits Chewinga. I'm not sure if it's the right face or not. And he also hit the Xavier School still. Oh, and we have a Hulk in there. There's the Xavier School, so his bag is now empty. All right. This is Rob bolting his Agent Venom so that he can spin up Hulk to max, as well as do a couple of points of damage to Laurier. Oh, all right, so I think Laurier is about to swing for game here. All right. And kills Dugan, and now he swings. So his 4 blockers go there, and the Dugan's hit in the face. All right, and that is game. So Laurier wins that. That is the end of this round. I will be back in a little bit with a summary and then the next round of Cop Cut.